Rain tapped softly against the floor-to-ceiling windows, turning the glass walls of the office into shimmering mirrors. Far below, the city stretched endlessly into the darkness, its streets glowing with scattered headlights and distant neon signs. Most of the world had surrendered to sleep hours ago, but inside the towering building, a single office remained illuminated, the digital clock. On the desk, quietly changed from 2:59 to 3 a.m. The room was silent except for the faint hum of computers and the steady rhythm of rain against the glass. Papers were spread across the desk. Technical reports, engineering plans, financial projections, and notes from meetings filled every available space. It had been another relentless day, a day packed with difficult decisions, impossible deadlines, and conversations that carried consequences reaching across continents. At the center of it all sat Elon Musk. His tie had long since been loosened. The sleeves of his shirt were rolled up, and fatigue showed beneath his eyes. To the outside world, he was a symbol of innovation, ambition, and extraordinary success. Newspapers called him a visionary. Critics called him controversial. Millions admired him, while millions more debated his every move. But at this moment, none of those labels mattered. Tonight, he looked less like one of the most influential men on Earth, and more like someone carrying a weight too heavy for any one person to hold. A half-empty cup of coffee sat forgotten beside him. Across the room, seated in a leather chair near the window, was an old friend. Unlike reporters, investors, or employees, this friend had known Elon long before headlines followed his name everywhere. Their friendship had survived years of triumphs, failures, controversies, and reinventions. For nearly an hour, they had spoken casually about life, technology, and the future. Now, however, the conversation had slowed. Something seemed different about Elon tonight. His gaze kept drifting toward the rain-soaked skyline. Every few minutes he would stop speaking entirely, lost somewhere deep inside his own thoughts. His friend noticed. "You seem distracted," he finally said. Elon smiled faintly. "Just tired." The answer sounded simple, but neither of them believed it. The friend leaned back in his chair. "No," he replied quietly. "It's more than that." For a moment, Elon didn't respond. Outside, a flash of lightning briefly illuminated the city before disappearing into the darkness again. The friend studied him carefully. Most people assumed they knew Elon Musk. They saw the interviews, the launches, the bold predictions, the endless stream of headlines. They saw the billionaire. Very few saw the man who had spent years pushing himself beyond exhaustion. The man who carried responsibilities that never seemed to end. The man who had sacrificed sleep, comfort, and often personal happiness in pursuit of ideas most people considered impossible. Success had given him many things, but it had also taken things away. The friend glanced toward the clock. 3 a.m. Maybe it was the rain. Maybe it was the exhaustion, or maybe it was simply the kind of hour when people stopped pretending. He decided to ask a question, not about rockets, not about artificial intelligence, not about business, something personal, something real. "After everything you've achieved," he said softly, "what do you really want in a woman?" The question settled into the room. Elon blinked. For the first time that night, he looked genuinely surprised. His friend almost laughed. Out of all the difficult questions Elon faced every day from journalists, politicians, and investors, this simple question seemed to affect him the most. For several seconds, he said nothing. The rain continued tapping against the windows. City lights flickered below, a distant siren echoed through the streets before fading into silence. Elon leaned back in his chair and stared toward the ceiling. The question had caught him. Completely off guard. Most people expected immediate answers from him. Quick responses, fast calculations, instant decisions. But this wasn't a question about engineering. It wasn't a question about solving a technical problem. It was a question about the heart, and those answers were far more complicated. His expression slowly changed. The confident public persona seemed to fade, replaced by something more vulnerable, more human. His thoughts drifted backward through years of memories. Faces appeared, conversations, moments of happiness, moments of regret. Relationships that had shaped him. Relationships that had challenged him. Relationships that had taught him lessons success never could. For a long time, he simply stared out at the rain. When he finally spoke, his voice was quieter than before. "That's an interesting question." His friend waited patiently. Elon folded his hands together. There was no rush now, no meeting. Waiting. No launch countdown. No investors demanding answers. Just two friends talking in the middle of the night. He exhaled slowly. Then he looked directly at his friend. A faint smile appeared on his face, though there was sadness hidden behind it. "Most people think they already know the answer," he said. The friend remained silent. Elon shook his head gently. The rain continued falling beyond the glass. Then, with a look that suggested he was about to reveal something deeply personal, he spoke words that would change the entire conversation. "Most people think I want perfection." He paused. Strange mixture of wisdom and regret crossed his face. "They're completely wrong to be..." Continued for a moment. Neither man spoke. The words lingered in the air, carried by the quiet rhythm of the rain outside. "They're completely wrong." Elon's friend leaned forward slightly, intrigued by the seriousness in his voice. Throughout the years, he had watched countless interviews where reporters asked Elon about technology, business, and the future of humanity. Elon could answer those questions instantly, but tonight was different. Tonight, every word seemed to come from somewhere deeper. The office felt strangely removed from the rest of the world. Outside, billions of people slept peacefully, unaware that one of the most recognizable men on Earth was sitting in silence, reflecting on the things money could never buy. Elon slowly stood from his chair and walked toward the massive window overlooking the city. The lights below looked like tiny stars scattered across the darkness. For several seconds, he simply stared, then he spoke again. "You know what's funny?" he asked. His friend shook his head. "People assume that because someone is successful, they automatically know what matters in life." A faint smile appeared on Elon's face. "But success doesn't teach you everything." The room grew quiet again. His friend noticed that Elon wasn't speaking like a billionaire or a CEO anymore. He was speaking like a man reviewing his own life. "A lot of people think I care most about appearance," Elon continued, "or status, or someone who fits some impossible standard." He shook his head. "That's never been the point." His friend listened carefully. "What is the point then?" he asked. Elon folded his arms and looked out at the rain. For a moment, it seemed as though he was searching through years of memories. When he finally answered, his voice was calm. Honesty. The word came without hesitation. "If someone isn't honest, nothing else matters." His friend nodded. Elon continued, "You can build a company on truth. You can build trust on truth. You can build a future on truth." A distant flash of lightning illuminated the room. "But without honesty," Elon said quietly, "everything eventually falls apart." His friend could hear conviction in his voice. This wasn't theory. This was experience. Elon returned to his chair and sat down slowly. "The second thing is loyalty." His friend raised an eyebrow. "Loyalty?" Elon nodded. "Real loyalty is rare." He looked down at the desk covered with reports and documents. "When things are going well, everyone wants to be around you." A faint laugh escaped. "Him? It's easy to stand beside someone when they're winning." His expression darkened slightly. "The real test comes when things go wrong." Suddenly, memories surfaced in his mind. Failed projects, public criticism, moments when the world doubted him, times when people walked away, and times when a few stayed. Those moments had left a lasting impression. I never forget the people who stay when things become difficult. The friend noticed something emotional behind those words. Not bitterness? Gratitude? Elon leaned back in his chair. The third quality is kindness. His friend smiled. Most people probably expected Elon to list intelligence first, or ambition, or achievement. Instead, he chose kindness. Kindness tells you who someone really is, Elon explained. How they treat strangers. How they treat people who can't offer them anything in return. He paused. A person's character reveals itself in the moments nobody is watching. The rain intensified outside. The office lights reflected across the wet glass, creating ghost-like patterns against the night. His friend listened in silence. Something about this conversation felt different now. The answers weren't polished. They weren't designed for cameras. They were real. Elon rubbed his eyes, exhaustion visible on his face. Despite the late hour, he seemed more awake than before, almost as if speaking honestly was lifting a weight he had carried for years. The fourth quality, he continued, is emotional maturity. His friend nodded slowly. Elon smiled faintly. Life becomes complicated. That's an understatement. Both men laughed softly. For the first time that night, the tension eased. But Elon quickly became serious again. Everyone faces problems. Everyone experiences disappointment. His eyes drifted toward the city lights. What matters is how someone responds to those challenges. He paused. The strongest people aren't the ones who never break. His voice grew quieter. They're the ones who know how to rebuild. The friend felt the weight behind those words. Elon wasn't just describing qualities. He was describing lessons. Lessons earned through years of pressure, sacrifice, and hardship. The rain continued falling. The clock now read 3:18 a.m., yet neither man seemed aware of the passing time. The conversation had become something far more meaningful than either expected. His friend finally asked, "And after those?" A thoughtful smile appeared on Elon's face. "There are many more." He looked toward the dark window again. For a moment, the billionaire seemed lost in thought. Then he quietly added, "Curiosity, intelligence, humility, independence, resilience, and authenticity." The friend stared at him. "That's quite a list," Elon chuckled. "I'm only getting started." But as he said it, something changed in his expression. His gaze drifted back into the rain-covered darkness, back toward memories only he could see. And when he spoke again, there was a hint of sadness in his voice. Every one of those qualities has a story behind it. His friend felt a chill. Not because of the storm, but because he suddenly realized this conversation wasn't really about what Elon wanted. It was about everything life had taught him. And the stories behind those lessons were far deeper than anyone could imagine. To be continued, the storm outside showed no signs of ending. Rain streamed down the towering windows in silver rivers, blurring the lights of the city below. The office remained wrapped in a strange stillness, as if the entire world had faded away, leaving only two men and a conversation neither of them had expected to have. Elon's friend sat quietly, absorbing everything he had heard. Honesty, loyalty, kindness, emotional maturity. The words sounded simple when spoken aloud, yet the way Elon described them made them feel far more valuable than any fortune. For years, people had asked Elon about the future. Tonight, for the first time, he was talking about the past. And perhaps that was why his answers felt different. His friend leaned forward. "You said every quality has a story behind it." Elon smiled faintly. "Most of them do." The room fell silent again. For a moment, Elon seemed uncertain whether he wanted to continue. Not because he lacked answers, because some answers required reopening doors that had been closed for years. He slowly turned the empty coffee cup in his hands. "I think the fifth quality is curiosity." His friend nodded. "Why curiosity?" A spark appeared in Elon's eyes. For the first time that night, there was genuine excitement in his expression. Because curious people never stop growing. He leaned back. "They keep asking questions." He pointed toward the rain-soaked skyline. "Every innovation starts with someone asking why." His voice grew more animated. "Why does this work? Why can't it be better? What if we tried something different? His friend smiled. That sounded exactly like Elon, but then Elon surprised him. The thing is, he said, I don't just admire curiosity in science or technology. His friend raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? I admire curiosity about people. The answer hung in the air. Elon continued. Someone who genuinely wants to understand others. Someone who wants to learn, improve, and see the world from different perspectives. His friend considered that. It wasn't the answer most people would expect. Then again, almost nothing about tonight was what he expected. Elon placed the cup down. The sixth quality is intelligence. His friend laughed softly. There it is. Elon laughed too. Not the way most people think. The friend looked confused. What does that mean? Elon stared toward the city. Intelligence isn't about degrees. It isn't about sounding smart. It isn't about proving you're the smartest person in the room. His voice became thoughtful. True intelligence includes wisdom. His friend listened carefully. Knowing when to speak. Knowing when to listen. Knowing when you're wrong. Elon smiled. That last one is surprisingly difficult for many people. The two men shared a brief laugh. Then Elon's expression softened. The smartest people I've ever met weren't always the most educated. His friend could tell he was remembering specific faces. Specific moments. People who had left a lasting mark on him. The seventh quality is humility. The room grew quiet again. Humility? The friend repeated. Elon nodded. Success can be dangerous. His friend immediately understood. Elon wasn't talking about money. He was talking about ego. I've met brilliant people who destroyed their own potential because they believed they already knew everything. He shook his head slowly. Humility keeps a person grounded. Outside, thunder rumbled across the sky. The sound echoed faintly through the glass. Elon continued. When someone remains humble despite their achievements, that's powerful. His friend noticed something. Every quality Elon mentioned had very little to do with appearance. Very little to do with wealth. Very little to do with status. Instead, everything revolved around character. The things nobody could fake forever. The eighth quality, Elon said quietly, is independence. His friend nodded. That one makes sense, Elon smiled. Does it? The friend looked surprised. Elon folded his arms. People misunderstand independence. How? Because they think it means never needing anyone. He shook his head. That's not independence. His voice became firmer. Real independence means having your own identity. His friend thought about that. Elon continued. Having your own dreams. Your own values. Your own purpose. The words carried a quiet respect. As if he deeply admired people who remained true to themselves. No matter what. No matter who stood in front of them. The clock on the wall now read 3:31 a.m. Neither man noticed. The conversation had completely taken over the night. The ninth quality is resilience. This time, Elon didn't speak immediately afterward. Instead, he stared out at the storm. His friend could almost see the memories moving behind his eyes. Years of setbacks, failures, near collapses, public criticism, moments when everything seemed on the verge of breaking. When Elon finally spoke, his voice was lower. Life will test everyone. The words felt heavier than anything he had said so far. No exceptions. His friend remained silent. Elon continued. You can lose money. You can lose opportunities. You can lose things you never expected to lose. The room felt smaller somehow. More intimate. More honest. But resilient people keep moving forward. His eyes reflected the city lights. Not because it's easy. Because they refuse to quit. The friend felt chills. For a moment, Elon wasn't describing a quality in another person. He was describing the philosophy that had carried him through his own life. Then came the final quality of this group, authenticity. Elon smiled when he said it. A genuine smile. Perhaps the first truly relaxed smile of the night. The 10th quality is authenticity. His friend leaned forward. And why is that one important? Elon laughed softly. Because pretending is exhausting. The answer made both of them laugh. But beneath the humor was something profound. I admire people who are comfortable being themselves. He paused. The world constantly pressures people to become someone else. His gaze drifted back toward the rain. But the strongest people I've known never needed to wear a mask. Silence filled the office once more. Outside, the storm began to weaken. The rain was still falling, but more gently now. His friend sat quietly. 10 qualities. Yet somehow it felt like Elon had revealed far more than that. Because hidden inside every answer were pieces of his own story. Pieces rarely seen by the public. Finally, the friend broke the silence. You've given me 10 qualities, Elon nodded. But earlier, you said the next ones matter even more. A mysterious expression crossed Elon's face. The smile faded. His eyes became distant again, as though he were preparing to share something much deeper. Something far more personal. He looked toward the dark horizon where the first faint signs of dawn remained hours away. Then he spoke quietly. Those next qualities aren't about finding the right person. His friend frowned. What are they about? Elon took a slow breath, and his answer sent an unexpected chill through the room. They're about surviving life together. The words settled heavily between them. They're about surviving life together. For a moment, the only sound in the office was the soft tapping of rain against the glass. Elon's friend remained silent. There was something different about his voice now. Until this point, the conversation had felt reflective. Personal, yes, but still comfortable. Now it was becoming something deeper, something closer to a confession. Elon stood once more and walked toward the window. The city below seemed smaller than before. Thousands of lights stretched across the darkness, each representing a life, a story, a dream, a struggle. He wondered how many people were lying awake right now, wrestling with their own fears. How many were questioning their decisions? How many were wishing they could go back and change something? The thought made him smile sadly. No amount of success could protect anyone from being human. You know, Elon said quietly, when you're younger, you think relationships are about excitement. His friend listened carefully. You think it's about chemistry, attraction, shared interests. He shrugged. And those things matter. His reflection stared back at him from the rain-covered glass. But eventually life gets harder. The smile disappeared. And that's when the deeper qualities become important. His friend nodded. What comes next? Elon took a slow breath. The 11th quality is patience. His friend expected a different answer. Patience sounded almost ordinary, yet the way Elon said it made it sound priceless. Most people underestimate patience, Elon continued. They think it's passive. He shook his head. It's not. His voice became firmer. Patience is strength under control. The words hung in the air. When projects fail, when plans collapse, when life doesn't happen according to schedule. He turned away from the window. Patience keeps people together. His friend thought about that. The older he became, the more true it seemed. Life rarely followed anyone's plans. Patience wasn't weakness. It was endurance. The 12th quality is courage. This answer surprised nobody. Elon had spent much of his life taking risks, launching companies, betting everything on impossible ideas, refusing to quit when failure seemed inevitable. But his explanation wasn't what his friend expected. Courage isn't the absence of fear. His eyes narrowed thoughtfully. It's moving forward despite fear. The room fell quiet. Elon continued. I've met people who looked fearless. A faint smile appeared. Most of them were simply hiding their fear. His friend laughed softly. Elon nodded. The bravest people are usually the ones who admit they're afraid. He paused. Then they act anyway. The friend could feel years of experience behind those words. Perhaps even pain. The rain outside began to slow. The storm was finally losing strength. The 13th quality is compassion. His friend looked surprised. Compassion felt very different from courage, but Elon spoke about it with equal conviction. Compassion changes everything. He sat down again. When someone can understand another person's pain, that's powerful. His voice softened. The world has enough judgment. He looked toward the floor for a moment. What it needs more of is understanding. The office grew still. His friend realized this wasn't just a list anymore. Each quality reflected something Elon had learned the hard way, something life had taught him through success and failure. The 14th quality is strong values. His friend nodded immediately. That one made sense. Elon continued. Values become visible during difficult times. His expression grew serious. Anybody can do the right thing when it's easy. He leaned forward slightly. The real test comes when doing the right thing costs you something. The words carried weight, the kind of weight that comes from experience. His friend felt it immediately. Money could buy comfort. Power could create opportunities. But values determined who a person remained when everything else changed. The 15th quality is adaptability. A small laugh escaped Elon. Life loves surprises. His friend smiled. That's one way to put it. Elon laughed too. Then his expression became thoughtful again. No matter how carefully you plan, something unexpected eventually happens. He spread his hands. People who adapt survive. His gaze moved toward the skyline. People who refuse to adapt often get stuck fighting reality. The city lights shimmered through the fading rain. Everything Elon described seemed connected by a single theme. Growth, the ability to evolve, the ability to endure. The 16th quality is having a sense of purpose. The room became quiet again. This answer seemed deeply personal. Elon spoke carefully. I admire people who wake up with a reason to keep moving forward. His friend noticed a spark returning to his eyes. Not excitement, conviction. A purpose doesn't have to be famous. It doesn't have to make headlines. It just has to matter to you. The friend understood immediately. Purpose had fueled much of Elon's own journey. Without purpose, success felt empty. Without purpose, even achievement lost meaning. Finally, Elon took a long breath. The next quality seemed especially important. The 17th quality is honest communication. His friend nodded. That sounds simple. Elon laughed. It sounds simple because everyone thinks they're good at it. Both men smiled. Then Elon became serious. Most people don't communicate. The friend raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? They assume. His answer came instantly. They expect others to read their minds. He shook his head. Misunderstandings destroy more relationships than most people realize. The room fell silent. Elon stared toward the dark city. If something matters, say it. If something hurts, say it. If you appreciate someone, say it. His voice lowered. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Those final words hit harder than anything else he had said. For a moment, neither man moved. Neither spoke. The clock now showed 3:47 a.m. The storm had almost completely passed. Only a light drizzle remained. Elon's friend sat back slowly. 17 qualities. Each one felt less like a preference and more like a lesson. A lesson written by years of experience, years of victories, years of mistakes, years of searching for what truly mattered. Finally, the friend looked at him and asked the question that had been building in his mind all night. You've given me 17. Elon nodded. There are still 3 left. The friend smiled. The final 3. Elon didn't smile back. Instead, he looked out toward the horizon. Something changed in his eyes, a mixture of memory, regret, and longing. When he finally spoke, his voice was almost a whisper. The last 3 are the rarest. His friend felt a sudden chill. Not because of the weather, because he knew whatever came next would reveal more about Elon Musk than any interview ever could. To be continued. The office had grown quieter than ever. The rain had almost stopped completely now, leaving only occasional droplets sliding down the glass. Beyond the window, the city continued glowing beneath the darkness, unaware of the deeply personal conversation unfolding high above its streets. Elon's friend sat motionless. 17 qualities. Each one had revealed another layer of the man sitting across from him. Not the entrepreneur, not the billionaire, not the public figure, just a man reflecting on life. And now only 3 remained. The last 3 are the rarest. Those words continued echoing in the room. Elon remained staring out at the skyline. For several moments he didn't speak. His friend sensed hesitation. Not because Elon didn't know the answer, because these answers seemed connected to something much deeper, something emotional, something personal. Finally, Elon turned away from the window. The city lights reflected faintly in his eyes. The 18th quality, he said quietly, is inner peace. His friend frowned slightly. Of all the answers he had expected, that wasn't one of them. Inner peace? Elon nodded. Most people spend their entire lives chasing things. His voice remained calm. Money. Status. Recognition. Success. He slowly sat down. And there's nothing wrong with ambition. A faint smile appeared. I've certainly never been against ambition. His friend laughed softly. That might have been the understatement of the century. But Elon quickly became serious again. The problem is that many people believe happiness exists somewhere in the future. The room grew silent. They tell themselves they'll finally be happy after the next promotion. After the next achievement. After the next victory. He shook his head. But life doesn't work that way. His gaze drifted toward the desk. The people I admire most have learned how to be at peace with themselves. His friend listened carefully. Not because life was perfect. Not because they never struggled. But because they had learned something many never did. How to stop fighting themselves. The thought lingered in the room. Then Elon continued. The 19th quality is the ability to inspire others. His friend nodded. That sounded like something Elon would value. But once again, his explanation was unexpected. I'm not talking about fame. His voice grew firmer. Or influence. Or having millions of followers. He smiled. Some of the most inspiring people I've ever met would never appear on television. The friend could see he meant every word. Elon leaned forward slightly. Inspiration isn't about attention. It's about impact. The room seemed smaller now. More intimate. More honest. Have you ever met someone who makes you want to become better simply by being around them? His friend thought for a moment, then nodded. Elon smiled. That's what I mean. A brief silence followed. Outside, the clouds were beginning to break apart. For the first time all night, a few stars became visible. The right person doesn't just walk beside you. His voice softened. They encourage you to become the best version of yourself. The words carried genuine admiration, as though he had met people like that before. Perhaps only a few, but enough to leave a lasting impression. His friend glanced toward the clock. 4:03 a.m. The night was slipping away. Only one quality remained. The final one. The answer that had been waiting at the end of this journey. Elon seemed to know it too. His expression changed. The confidence disappeared. The calm certainty faded. For the first time all night, he looked vulnerable. The silence stretched longer than before. Finally, his friend asked quietly, "And the 20th?" Elon looked down at his hands. For several seconds, he didn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. Genuine love. The room became completely still. Not even the distant sounds of the city seemed to exist anymore. His friend waited. Elon continued. Genuine love without conditions. The words felt heavier than everything that had come before. He stared toward the floor, as if revisiting memories he rarely allowed himself to touch. Most people think love is a transaction. His voice carried sadness now. They give affection expecting something in return. They stay as long as circumstances remain favorable. The friend remained silent. He had never heard Elon speak like this. Not once, but Elon wasn't finished. Real love stays. The words emerged slowly, carefully. Real love exists during failure, during uncertainty, during difficult seasons. He looked up. His eyes reflected years of experience, years of lessons, years of understanding. The strongest relationships aren't built when everything is easy. His voice trembled ever so slightly. They're built when life becomes difficult. The friend felt a lump forming in his throat. Something about this moment felt deeply human, far beyond business, far beyond success, far beyond wealth. For the first time all night, the conversation wasn't about qualities anymore. It was about what truly matters. The room fell silent once again. Outside, the first faint glow of dawn began appearing on the horizon. Darkness slowly started surrendering to morning. Neither man spoke. Neither wanted to interrupt the moment. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the friend broke the silence. A single question had been sitting in his mind for nearly an hour. Now he couldn't hold it back any longer. He looked directly at Elon. A small smile appeared on his face. "You've described 20 qualities." Elon nodded. The friend took a slow breath. Then he asked quietly, "Have you ever actually met someone who had all 20? The question landed like a stone in still water. Elon's smile disappeared. His eyes drifted toward the growing light outside the window. For the first time that night, he didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stared at the horizon. At the beginning of a new day, and as memories flooded back into his mind, something unexpected appeared in his expression. Not happiness, not regret, something far more complicated. His friend suddenly realized there was a story hidden behind that silence. A story Elon had never told. A story connected to someone he had never forgotten. And whatever that story was, it was about to change everything. To be continued. That was the first thing Elon said. The answer surprised his friend. After everything he had described, after 20 qualities that sounded almost impossible to find in one person, the answer was simply no. The first rays of dawn crept across the horizon, painting the distant skyline in shades of gold and silver. His friend waited. Elon remained silent for several moments. Then a small smile appeared. "But that's because nobody has all 20. The tension in the room eased slightly. His friend laughed softly. "I was beginning to think you had created the perfect human being." Elon shook his head. "There is no perfect human being." The answer came immediately. That's one of the biggest lessons life teaches you. He looked toward the growing sunrise. The people who spend their lives searching for perfection usually end up alone. Outside, the city was slowly waking up. Traffic began appearing on distant roads. The darkness that had surrounded them all night was fading. Yet neither man moved. Neither wanted the conversation to end, because something important was happening. Something honest. Something real. Elon folded his hands together. "When I was younger, I thought success would answer every question." A faint smile crossed his face. "It doesn't." His friend nodded. "What does success answer?" Elon laughed quietly. "Very few things." For the first time all night, there was genuine warmth in his voice. "It gives you opportunities. It gives you resources. It allows you to build extraordinary things." His gaze drifted toward the horizon. "But it doesn't automatically make you wise." The room fell silent. "It doesn't automatically make you happy." His friend could feel the truth behind every word. Elon wasn't speaking from theory. He was speaking from experience. Years of experience. Years of victories the world celebrated and struggles the world rarely saw. Then his expression changed. The smile faded. A thoughtful look appeared. There was someone once. The friend immediately became still. For the first time all night, Elon was speaking about a specific person. A real person. Not a quality. not an idea. A memory. The room seemed to shrink around them. The sunrise continued brightening outside. Elon stared into the distance. Years ago. His voice was calm, careful, measured, as though he were opening a chapter he rarely revisited. She wasn't famous. The friend listened closely. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. A faint smile returned. Actually, she challenged me constantly. The friend laughed. That sounds difficult. It was. Elon smiled, but it was also refreshing. He remembered conversations that lasted late into the night. Arguments that forced him to reconsider his assumptions. Moments of laughter, moments of honesty, moments when neither success nor status mattered, only connection, only understanding. The memories felt surprisingly vivid, as though they had happened yesterday instead of years ago. His friend finally asked, "What happened?" The question lingered in the air. Elon stared at the sunrise. For several seconds he didn't answer. Then he sighed. Life happened. The words sounded simple, yet they carried enormous weight. Ambition happened. He smiled sadly. Timing happened. The friend understood immediately. Sometimes relationships didn't end because of betrayal or conflict or lack of love. Sometimes they ended because life pulled people in different directions, because dreams demanded sacrifices, because timing refused to cooperate. The sunrise filled the office with soft golden light. The storm was completely gone now, only clear skies remained. Elon leaned back in his chair. "You know something strange?" His friend shook his head. "I didn't fully appreciate some of those qualities at the time." The confession surprised him. Elon continued. "When you're young, you're often focused on what people have." His gaze lowered. "Eventually, you learn to focus on who they are." The words settled heavily between them. Money comes and goes. Careers rise and fall. Success changes, circumstances change, but character remains. The realization had taken Elon years to fully understand. His friend sat quietly. The conversation had started as a simple question. What do you want in a woman? Yet the answer had become something much bigger. A reflection on life itself, on growth, on mistakes, on wisdom earned through experience. Finally, the friend smiled. So those 20 qualities weren't really a checklist. Elon laughed. No. The answer came immediately. They never were. The friend waited. Elon looked toward the brilliant sunrise filling the city. Then he spoke the words that would stay with his friend forever. The woman I described wasn't perfect. Silence filled the office. The morning light illuminated the room. Elon's expression softened. She was simply real. His voice grew quieter. And that's why I never forgot her. The words landed with unexpected force. Not because they were dramatic, because they were true. After all the achievements, after all the headlines, after all the billions, what remained most memorable wasn't perfection. It was authenticity. It was kindness. It was loyalty. It was love. The simple qualities that money could never purchase. The friend sat back and smiled. For the first time all night, he felt as though he truly understood something about Elon Musk that most people never would. Not the entrepreneur, not the billionaire, not the public figure, the man. A man who had learned that success could build rockets, companies, and legacies, but character built relationships. And relationships were often the things people remembered most. The clock reached 4:27 a.m. The conversation was over. Elon stood and walked toward the window one final time. The city was fully awake now. A new day had begun. New challenges awaited, new decisions, new responsibilities. The future continued calling his name. Yet, for one quiet night, at 3 a.m, none of that had mattered. What mattered were the lessons, the memories, the people who shaped us, and the realization that perfection was never the goal. The goal was finding someone real, someone honest. Someone kind, someone willing to walk beside you through both triumph and struggle. As sunlight flooded the office, Elon smiled quietly to himself. Then he turned back toward his desk. The future was waiting, but some memories, he realized, would always remain with him. The end.